After the Minnesota Vikings released backup quarterback Nate Stanley, the Vikings had an open roster spot on the 90-man, and also they had a little bit of cap space. So we had these dreams of bringing in a guy like center J.C. Tretter, or a guy like defensive tackle Ndamukong, or bringing back Sheldon Richardson, yada, 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 yada. But Kwesi, the best they can do is a backup tight end who probably won't make the team. It happens. But dreams dashed, hopes down the drain, whatever. But Aaron Wilson NFL reporting that the Vikings are signing tight end Shaun Beyer, a former Denver Broncos player who played collegiately at Iowa, according to a league source. Now, we're not trying to poo-poo on Shaun Beyer because his family's probably watching this. And people, so whenever the Vikings sign someone to the 90-man or someone makes a practice squad, we like doing a profile on the player. And we get some comments like, oh, why are you talking about a guy who probably won't make the team? Well, his friends and family are probably watching this, right? So again, we're not taking anything away from Shaun Beyer. Hopefully that he rises up and becomes the next Mike Ditka or Rob Gronkowski, but could have had Ndamukong too. Is what it is, man. Let's talk about the former Hawkeye today. Background, 25 years young, 6'5", 248, former 3-star recruit from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, joined up with the Hawks. That's right. Nate Stanley for Shaun Beyer, former college teammates, just swappy of the Hawkeyes. There you go. Spent last year with the Broncos, blah, blah, blah. But he, former wide receiver, transitioned inside a tight end. First couple years in Iowa City, he was stuck behind TJ Hawkinson and Noah Fant, which, what can you do? He only recorded 18 catches, 275 yards, receiving 1 touchdown in 15 career games for the Hawks. Part of it was being stuck behind a lot of talented players, as well as he dealt with a number of injuries a couple of final seasons with the black and yellow. Also, Iowa's offense. Iowa's offense, even Mike Zimmer says that, hey, that's too conservative. Kurt Ferentz is just a genius there. Testing-wise, in terms of being a former wide receiver, you would have expected better numbers as a potential move tight end. Did fine in agility, did fine in the broad jump, etc. So whatever there. Was a UDFA for the Broncos. Nailed it. UDFA with the Broncos last year, was in camp with them. Also, the familiarity with Vikings' new offensive line coaches, Chris Cooper, Justin Orscatti, who's formerly with the Broncos, as well as Curtis Motkins, former running backs coach, is now the running backs coach and run game coordinator here with the Vikings. So, of course, that familiarity certainly does help as well. Looking at his scouting report, it's from Lance Zierlein over at NFL.com. Beyer was touted as a breakout candidate by Iowa staff members on multiple occasions, but he failed to truly take off. Rude. Through no fault of his own, Beyer had to wait behind the likes of George Kittle, Noah Fant, and TJ Hawkinson. Forgot about hey diddle diddle, Kittle up the middle, and lost much of 2018 due to injury. He's a former wideout with good athleticism and soft hands, but still needs to prove himself as a pass catcher since there isn't much career production because he was in Iowa's offense. He's a willing blocker, but fails to play with a hand grip and technique to stay connected to blocks for as long as he will need to. The 24-year-old doesn't fit nicely into a tight end type, which could create a challenge for his NFL prospects. Strength, above average athlete, accomplished high school high jumper, secures, just reminded me of High School High, of that movie with John Lovitz and Mekhi Phifer. Anyway, secures and works up to steal blocks, play side linebacker, keeps working to stay busy in defender's frame, backside cut blocks to knock defensive ends off their pursuit, stays engaged on the move with good lateral foot churn. Okay, former wideout with soft mitts and natural hands, adequate route quickness to separate from linebacker, plucks the ball on the go without breaking stride. So, there is a lot that he needs to work on. But what's interesting is that the Vikings potentially could have found another diamond in the rough, where you had a guy who was sort of seen as a backup at Iowa, never really got the time of day, had to deal with injuries, had to deal with a poor college offense as well. But he has the tools. He just needs a lot of work. Just needs a lot of coaching, a lot of refinement, and frankly, just a lot of experience being out there in preseason for the Broncos last year. He put up 2 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown, so you like to see that. He's on the Broncos practice squad all last year, so obviously jumping George Payton, saw a little something with him, and even though he doesn't have the testing athleticism of what you want in a move tight end, I think that he clearly is a lunch pail guy, is going to get after it, is going to work, and it's clear that the coaches and Kwesi like him as well. Plus, as we mentioned, Tight end 2 is really wide open. Beyond Irv Smith, who is really going to be there? The Vikings do have Johnny Munt, a former favorite son of the Rams, Kevin O'Connell, Wes Phillips, so backup tight end a number of years with the Rams. I could say maybe he could be the favorite right now for tight end 2. Ellefson from NDSU, Go Bison, former Jaguar, solid blocker. Nick Muse, 7th-round pick out of South Carolina, is a bit of a wild card. Same thing with Zach Davidson, last year's 5th-round pick. Very athletic move tight end, but really got nothing going his rookie season. So it's anyone's ball game. It really is. So that's why the backup tight end position, tight end 2, tight end 3, is going to be a very interesting competition in training camp. And maybe Shaun Beyer could get in the mix. Again, I'm not trying to poo-poo on the kid, but just like had the open roster spot, had plenty of cap space. These dreams of men, but anyways, not so much. But Shaun Beyer, welcome to the Vikings. I hope that you become the next Steve Jordan. Get after it, man. But that's it. Vikings filled their 90th roster spot by signing former Iowa Hawkeyes and Denver Broncos tight end Shaun Beyer. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.